but whatever.
I know, we'll have to take it up with Paul and Rohan.
Right. Okay. All right. It looks like we might have something going here. Right. All right. I think we're live everywhere. I think we're live on YouTube. Let's give the Instagram and YouTube folks a minuto to come and be ready, y'all. One of my very best friends gave me a singing bowl for my birthday. It's my very first one. And I'm not gonna lie, I was mad amped. Like, I like to think that I'm a pretty difficult person to buy gifts for because I don't like things that regular people like. And also, I'm just a little bit of a snob. Blame the Libra in my chart. But I've got this beautiful singing bowl from my friend. And so I'm going to make this baby sing. I think we just needed one. I love that so much. Welcome. You're welcome. I am Dayna Lynn Nuckolls, the People's Oracle, the Sidereal astrologer. Woo! Listen, today's Friday, February 12th, 2021, and I would like to just say for the record, for anyone who's been paying attention, that, shoot, there we go, that, 2021 has officially begun. Y'all, I told y'all, I really did tell y'all that, look, 2020 is going to have an extended run. It's going to have like several encores, and these encores were going to last us to February 2021. We're here. So, without further ado, you guys know what it do. I am going to take one person each from Instagram, from YouTube. Somebody said there's audio feedback and it's clicky on YouTube. Let me tell y'all how I was looking at the chart. It should be better. Is it better? Hold on, y'all. We having some technical difficulties. No, literally, I was looking at the chart trying to figure out what time I would start, and it was just boo-boo every single chart I looked at. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna have to deal with whatever it is. Okay, let us do this. All right. Is it better? Is it better now, YouTube? Thank you guys for your patience. I'm over here playing producer, sound engineer, Oracle. Give it a second. Hold on. I think we're getting it together on YouTube here. I would hate to have to cut down this stream, but it's better. No, not better though. Still clicky? What the heck? It is a bit better. It sounds funny. Okay. All right. Let's try. Hold tight, YouTube. Hold tight, Instagram. Thank you for your patience. Listen, this Mercury retrograde has been kicking my butt all week long. I won't even give you all of the details of how every single thing related to my second house has been jacked up. So, okay. So let us mute this. Y'all not gonna hear me for a second, YouTube. I'm about to buy a new computer because I just can't take it. Okay. Uh, let me know if it's sounding better once the audio comes back in. YouTube is fine here. Thanks, Nicole. Okay. Also, that singing bowl is very like third eye crown chakra resonant. And yeah.
Buzz, buzz.
Woo! Okay. Okay. All right. That's okay. We got backup over here. Hold tight. We got backup. In the meantime, if I can find some headphones, that I put, okay. We are going to do this. All right. Check, check. Okay. Should be better now. Okay. If it's not, I don't even know what to say because it ain't my fault. Thank y'all. These earrings, everybody on Instagram is commenting and YouTube are commenting on my earrings that y'all can't see. These, great, Dayna, just great. These are a friend of mine from Chicago made these. Her name is Stacy Patrice. She is a soul healing yogi who has way too many talents in order for it to really be fair. Sounds like a toaster underwater still? I have no idea. My cards are all messed up. I have no idea why this sounds this way. I have not done anything different with my setup. And I'm just blaming it. Somebody said we just gonna pretend we on auto tune. The audio was better before? What is going on over here? I literally. Oh Jesus. I'm a drink. Okay. Okay, we're gonna switch this up one more time and see what happens. Check. If I could find my headphones, I could actually check the audio. But what happened this Mercury retrograde is that I dropped my headphones one side into some hot candle wax. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know. Okay, I switched it back again. Yeah. Soon as this Mercury gets out of haterade, these people over here are too funny. Somebody said you legit sound like an analog girl in a digital world. I mean, that would be accurate. Nah, seriously, as soon as Mercury gets out of hating on my whole entire second house, I am going to get some new equipment because people said it's more palatable. Okay, I don't know what to say. All right, let's start on Instagram here. Who would like for me to pull a few cards for you today? Just raise your hand, give me a little bit of woohoo, let me know. Oh shoot, these cards are still messed up. Lord, Claude, have mercy, Jesus. Claude, have mercy, Man, somebody posted a great thread on Twitter today, and they were talking about the history of protest. Um, YouTube is gonna send me all day. The history of protests in the Pentecostal Church Kojic, and it just really sent me. It was great. All right, people have raised their hands. I'm just gonna scroll up, and when I stop, oops, didn't mean to do that. Trying to scroll with my eyes closed and clicking stuff I really mean to click. All right, let's see. All right, Willow Flesh. Willow Flesh on Instagram. I'm going to pull a card or two for you, boo. And then I'm going to move over to Clubhouse and I will ask when to turn on the hand raising shortly. All right, Willow Fresh. Let me just give these a little shuffle. I got my golden thread arrow back here. All right. Somebody said we can still understand you. You just sound like you from the future. I mean, honestly, I am from the fourth moon of Jupiter, and so that checks out. To be honest, it checks out. Okay, I need y'all to know I had on this very purple electro-looking lipstick, and it was really cute. Except for it just really didn't go with my look today. So I switched to something a little bit more muted. But best believe y'all gonna see this ombre, blurple, pinkish, whatever I had on soon. As soon as I find me the right outfit. All right, Willow Flesh. We have the Hierophant on the bottom. Hierophant speaks to us about engaging with institutions like the government, colleges, universities. It could also talk about tradition and familial expectations, the pressure to conform to cultural or social norms. So let us see what else the cards have to say. We have the Ten of Cups and we have the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, so this definitely sounds like some kind of family tradition that you are maybe being pressed to proceed with, or maybe there is some kind of rite of passage appropriate for your age and or gender in your culture that you are considering or feeling pressed to conform to. Seven of Pentacles is always an admonishment or being advised to wait. Take your time. I always like to think of the Seven of Pentacles card as allowing your work to catch up with you, which means that you don't really have to push, you don't have to pull, you don't have to do the most necessarily. Really just let things be what they be what they be. Let things be what they are right now and give it some time to play out. If there is something that you need familial support for, maybe you're going back to school, maybe you need a visa, maybe you need a license or some kind of document from the government, from the IRS, from a college or university. This is saying wait, give it some time before you sign off or before you give up and think that maybe it's not going to happen. I know it seems really ambiguous, but I have a feeling all of the readings I'm going to do today are going to be hitting us with the young Saturn Mercury retrograde combo. Like, hold your horses, you're doing the most. Press the brakes, be easy, coast for a little bit. Just because traffic is slowing down doesn't mean you have to press the brake. Just take your foot off the gas is what it's saying. All right? Let's see here. Winter, can you please turn on hand raising and pick uno persona, one person? S'il vous plaît. These folks don't waste no time. Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Dayna and Winter.
How are you?
How are y'all today?
Man, I barely made it to Friday. I thought it was Thursday, every day beginning with Tuesday. But I'm here now. We're here. How about you, Winter?
I'm enjoying finally having air in the sky, so it's lit.
Yeah. Just an FYI for my Instagram friends, you're putting questions in the question box. and I'm not going to look at them. So you should probably not. I'm just saying, no shade, just, you know. All right, Sydney, the card on the bottom for you is the Justice card. So this can be indicating some kind of legal procedure, litigation. In any case, there's some decision that needs to be made. And this is a decision that likely has some major consequences on the longer term trajectory of your life. And this is not a decision that you should be making emotionally. This is not a decision that you should be making based on what you believe is possible. This really requires an objective look at the situation and the facts. So let's see, we got the Ten of Cups again. Oh man, and we have the Ten of Swords here. Sydney, what's going on with your family? What's going on?
Nothing I can really think of, honestly. Like, do you mean like my immediate family or more of my extended family?
Whichever is relevant to the Justice card and decision making, legal processes, litigation, contracts. Is there a decision that needs to be made in terms of your family relationships, in terms of some community that you involved in? They may not be blood family, they may be like a sorority or some other kin type situation.
Honestly, no. I'm not. I mean, not that I know of at this moment. Honestly, no. Mm-mm. The only thing I can think of legally,
Is there anything legal going on? Let's just start there.
I know that my grandmother is supposed to get out of prison soon, like this summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it, though.
That seems pretty significant. Where's your grandmother gonna live?
Actually, my mom just bought a condo for her, so she just closed on it maybe earlier this year or late last year.
Now, here's the other question, the last question. What does this have to do with you?
You know what's crazy? I know that like the condo was there, and a lot has happened to me this week, and I was literally about to ask my mom like if I could stay there until my grandmother at least gets out, or when she gets there or something like that. I guess I don't know if that has anything to do with me. Well, I guess a little bit, but that's what I was gonna ask her. I don't know.
Whew, Winter is laughing because this happens all the time. Like, I ask a question, and you're like, yeah, I don't know. And then you proceed to answer the question, and then you say, yeah, I don't know. So let's do this. This Ten of Swords is talking about you overthinking, overanalyzing, making up problems in your head that don't exist, getting all worked up and hot and bothered, creating scenarios that have not happened and probably will not happen. And so if you think you need some relief in terms of your living situation, whatever mental block that you have around asking that, just let it go.
Okay.
All right? Thank you, Sydney. You're welcome. All right. Hold on. I don't know what's happening on here on YouTube. Can y'all hear me? Well, we gonna find out.
So you might want to put your cash up in the.
Oh, I thought I did already. I did. I just forgot to press pin. I mean, yeah, pin comment. We're gonna do this again. Thank you. I'm not together today, as y'all can tell. So we just have a confluence of Mercury hating on my life and hormones doing things that I can't control. It's just the moon and me. Somebody said, pick me, teacher. I feel like I gave you a reading before, though, friend. Okay, Mona Amor. Let's do that on YouTube. Hopefully I showed these cards good. I love that we get these things when we're doing readings. So far, like the Ten of Cups showing up, because that's a very cancerish card. And often over the past year or two, I've been talking about how Cancer has the medicine for this moment. So not necessarily people who have hey, Cancer, rising, sun, moon, etc. But the symbolism of Cancer in terms of meeting immediate needs, the body, home. I pressed pin. What the heck is going on? All right. Mercury's just. I pressed pin, y'all, on Instagram, and it won't pin. And so there's nothing I can do. I press pin. Y'all don't know my cash. If you don't know my cash by now, you will never, never, never know it. Ooh. All right. Woo. This is really hot trash. All right. Yeah, I mean, I pressed pin 5 times. Let's try one more time and see what happens on Instagram. And if it don't pin, then it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Now it's pinned. There we go. Third time's a charm. All right, Mona Amor, we've got the Knight of Wands for you on the bottom of the deck. So this is about taking advantage of an opportunity. Really just seeing something come across your path and latching right onto it, not waiting to analyze and ask 50 people what their opinions are, not going to the library or doing your Googles looking for information to confirm or deny. This is something that you've really got to take advantage of. So let's see what it is. We've got the Chariot and we've got the Seven of Swords. If your car needs repair, Mona, do not, first of all, Mercury is still haterating on us in this dancery. And so if your car needs repairs, handle that. As a matter of fact, I don't know if like very recently you've had like an issue kind of suddenly come up with your car. And this is just a confirmation that this is something that you probably want to take to a professional, a mechanic, to get worked out. The only other thing that I can see here is feeling some kind of internal conflict in terms of taking advantage of an opportunity and having to kind of troubleshoot and tinker around with this thing so that you can make it work for you. I definitely, on the alternative reading of this, get a sense. Okay, we gonna leave it there. Mona says she need an oil change. Go get your oil change, Mona. Don't let your engine dry up. All right, your light is on. Lord have mercy, Jesus. She said a light is on. All right, let's move on. I've wasted so much time with this Mercury retrograde stuff, so we're just gonna leave it there. Yeah, just for my new Instagram folks who just, you're not familiar with the process here, don't ask me questions in the comments because I am not going to answer them. Number one. Number two, they're very distracting. Hopefully someone else will see your question and answer it. But it ain't gonna be me today. Y'all know I usually don't do readings at this time or on this day of the week, but I wanted to go to Hakeem the Dream's Clubhouse Church on Sunday, and so I can do my reading on Sunday. Okay, all right. What time is it? It's time for lunch. Y'all watch Bubble Guppies? Y'all got kids? What time is it? This passage that I'm going to read from you from the book of Ecclesiastes is one that has deeply informed my interest and calling to astrology from the very beginning. And there is no more appropriate time to read this passage than at the new moon in Capricorn, where Mother Saturn, Mother Time, is looking at everybody in the sky and down here on Earth like, do you know what time it is? Don't make me have to tell you twice. All right. I read through most of Ecclesiastes just as like a remembrance and recalling this book. And if there was a book in the Bible that should be called Saturn, that would be the book of Ecclesiastes. I believe this is David who wrote this. And bro was just like, yeah, man, nothing matters. You're going to die. and then you're going to be born, and then you're going to die, and nobody's even going to remember you when you die. And people are going to keep being born, and then they're going to die. And then you're going to work really, really, really hard, and then you're going to die. I mean, Ecclesiastes is Saturn's like manifesto for life. But then we get to the third chapter of Ecclesiastes. And highest of keys, I really want to read this in the King James Version because I know my ancestors really want to hear that. But there's a little bit too many hats and fists in the King James Version, so I'm going to leave it be. All right, I'm going to start at verse 1, and I think I'm going to read to 15, but I'm going to take a break after 8. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under the heaven. And my brain says Saturn, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what has been planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. See, already, things are not supposed to grow and expand forever. Stick a pin in that. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. During a pandemic. Get touch them elbows. A time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Whew. Can we just pause on that one? Sometimes it's time to keep your mouth shut. A time to, right? A time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. For everything, there is a season. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, Shar, and a time for every matter under the sun. After I read this, the question that I actually had was, how do you know what time it is, number one? And number two, who determines what time it is? And number three, why do we count time the way that we do? Who determines how long a second is or an hour is? I wanted to do some research before today, and I really didn't get to do that. But the question that I had was about the ways that societies catch time. One, prior to capitalism. Two, prior to standardization of time. So, if you try to cast a chart for some time in like the 1800s, there's no time zones, right? So they're calculating time in relationship to like longitude and latitude, which is a whole other conversation, right? But not really, because time zones are adding hours or separating hours based on an arbitrarily, in quotations, established point, Greenwich Mean Time, which, color me so surprised, happens to fall in Europe. Oh my God, that's so shocking that Europe is the standard for time and everyone else is just a deviation of that time. So you just have to add 5 hours if you are here, subtract 14 hours if you were there. If you think about it, and this sounds like some deep hotep stuff, but it's really not, because it's obvious and it's in your face and I'm not making it up. Go Google that. Even the way that we keep time makes every other location on the earth, other than that zero Greenwich Mean Time, a deviation, an othering. Let me continue reading this passage here, because this next one Whew. At verse 9, chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes, what gain have the workers from their toil? And before I go forward, I am going to replace every time that it says, every time, no pun intended, every time it says God in this passage, I am actually going to replace it with the word time. And we're going to see how this reads. What gain have the workers from their toil? I have seen the business that time has given to everyone to be busy with. Time has made everything suitable for itself. Moreover, time has put a sense of past and future into their minds. Yet they cannot find out what time has done from the beginning to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is time's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in their toil. I know that whatever time does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. Time has done this, so that all should stand in awe before time. That which is already has been. That which is to be already is, and time seeks out what has gone by. A couple weeks ago, I did a reading for the full moon in Cancer, and I asked you, what do you count your time for? Are you counting your time for capitalism? Because in order to survive, you must exchange your time for currency? Or do you count your time for relationship? Since that time, I posted a thread of thoughts I've been holding in my mind for a while about Bitcoin and how a certain population and segment of the global population is all about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is going to save us. And I just don't understand how or why we cannot imagine freedom and liberation that does not include capitalism. Why do we take this as a for-granted reality that existed from the beginning of time and that it shall always be? And if there is an alternative to capitalism, it's surely fascism, authoritarianism. I'm not going to go there. But what I do want to say about that thread is that real liberation and freedom is the work of the oppressed. Man, I'm getting into James Cone, God of the Oppressed right now. Thank you for that memory, for that reminder. That the work of liberation is the task of the oppressed. And anyone telling you that a currency that will only reinforce established systems of oppression is not liberating anybody. So I want to know what those who have been victimized into poverty, those who have been forced to choose between relationship or currency. I want those people to tell me what it means to be free. I want those people to know that what is most valuable is not Bitcoin, it's not a dollar, it's not a peso or a euro or a pound or a yen. What is most valuable is what is already in possession of those who have been victimized into poverty. What is it that those who have been victimized into poverty already possess? Relationship. The indoctrination and brainwashing of the cult of individualism and capitalism's full-time job is to convince you that relationship is meaningless. Your community is invaluable. The real value is in your labor. The real value is in this currency, in this Bitcoin, in this pair of shoes, in this watch, in this phone, in this clout. It is a constant, full-time job, brain washing indoctrination, repeatedly, every single day, convincing you that relationship is invaluable. So what do you count your time for? Whether it is the Gregorian calendar, which is not connected to any observable phenomenon, no festival, no ritual. It is a standardization of the earth turning on its axis in the approximate 24-hour period. It is a standardization of, at the same time the earth is turning on its own axis, it is traveling around the sun in relationship with the moon. In Yurugu, by our elder Marimba Ani, she teaches us that European worldview, thought process, doctrine is obsessed with either or, black or white thinking. It is obsessed with measuring things so that they can be controlled. The way that things are measured, the metric, the numbers, who determines that? Who says an hour is an hour, and why? Ecclesiastes says that for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under the heaven. This is common sense. Anyone who looks outside right now in Chicago or New York, any farmer, any planter in the northern hemisphere of America, in the Midwest plains, knows that it is not time to plant. And you can argue until you're blue in the face, until you've lost your voice, and you pop a blood vessel in your eye, that you should plant right now. Go ahead. Try it. Go for it. I'll check back with you in September. And we'll see if your seeds took root and if they bore any fruit. Yet capitalism teaches us to ignore nature's cycles of time. It forces us to conform to a measurement of time that is contrary to, violent to, and at many times deadly to the natural cycles of our body. What time is it? This is a loaded question. Don't turn around and look at your clock and don't tell me what the calendar says. That, my friends, is called consensual time. Consensual time. Consensual time is time that we've agreed to. It's akin to everyone going outside and saying, the sky is blue. And they look all around at each other. They say, yes, the sky is blue. Or a person goes outside and says, the sky is such a lovely shade of chartreuse. And everyone is like, yes, the sky is a lovely shade of chartreuse. That doesn't say anything about what the color of the sky actually is. That's just what they've agreed it is. They've agreed to call this frequency of light waves that are visible by the human eye chartreuse or green or blue. It's a measurement, a calculation. How do you know what time it really is, though? If you throw away the calendar, you throw away the clock, how can you know what time it is? Would you know what to do with your time if capitalism wasn't admonishing you at every turn to count your time so that you can be sure to make note that you got enough currency for your time and labor? Would you know what time it is? Something so fascinating that's been happening over the course of the past year and some change as we've been in this pandemic is that without our rituals of work commutes, school days, meetings, lunch breaks, we lose track of time. Collectively, we've been having this experience over and over again. Why does today feel like Saturday, but it's really Tuesday? Is it really only Monday? Is it March 3246, 2020? What is time? I'm not trying to get all deep into quantum metaphysics. That is not my ministry. But what my ministry is that we must interrogate even the way and the reasons why we count time in order to get free. When we pull back the curtain and we take off the layers of whiteness, of patriarchy, of capitalism, we realize that all of these fabrications, all of these times and clocks and calendars are an artifact of systems of oppression. In my post on Saturn and Capricorn that I published January 2020, I said the only reason that we count time is because we are mortal. It is death that causes us to count time. It is because we know our days, our sunrisings and sunsets, our winters, our springs. Eventually, we will be no more. Not because we died and experienced death, but because we witnessed those we love leave their physical bodies and they cease to exist in our physical presence. And so we use each of our inevitable deaths as the reason for why we count time. Why do we count birthdays? Why do we keep ages? Why do we count months? So that we can remember the time. Ah, yes, when I was 18, when she was 3 months old. This is keeping time for relationship. But as I've said before, capitalism, in order for it to function, in order for it to exist, must convince you that relationship is valueless. What is the value of relationship in a capitalist system? What is its function? What is its purpose? I don't have all the answers, but I sure as hell have a lot of questions. When I read Ecclesiastes 9 through 15, I have seen the business that time, and remember I've changed out God for time. Our Lord and Savior Saturn, right? Oh Lord, I have seen the business that time has given to everyone to be busy with. This is a new moon. New moons are moments of conception. Deep inside the fallopian tubes, the uterus past the cervix, when an egg has chosen which sperm it will allow inside of it, we cannot see it. We do not watch it. We do not observe it. We do not know what it will become. Time. We need time to wait and see. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. This is not talking about clock and hours. This is not talking about 8 o'clock. It's not even talking about February 12th either. It's not talking about your Gregorian calendar. It's not talking about your hours on your pay stub. This is talking about the fundamental cyclical nature of time, the ebbing and flowing, the waxing and waning, the births and the deaths, the giving and the taking away, the planting and the harvesting, the plucking and the pruning, the loving and the war. There is a time for war, but there is also a time for reconciliation and reparations. Capitalism is ignorant to the true nature of time, and it must be in order to exist. Because if you really knew what time it was, if you really knew what time it was, capitalism could not function. Your body would say sit and rest, and so you would sit and rest. Your feet would say I've had enough, and so you'd say I too have had enough. Your mother would need your company, and so you would go to her. Your child would need your breast, and so you would give it to them. If you knew what time it really was, capitalism would fall into shambles. Capitalism requires your ignorance of time. It requires the suffocating muting of your body. It requires you to stick your earbuds in your ears so you cannot hear the cries of your child. It forces you to put hours of distance between you and your loved ones so you won't be distracted as you exchange your time for currency. If you knew what time it really was, from this moment forward, from today, let's try this out. Don't look at the clock and see if it's time to eat. Take a moment, sit and listen to your body. Turn off the screen, close the refrigerator. Can you even hear your body? Do you even recognize its voice? There's a particular phrase that came up at the full moon in Leo last year. There's a reading on here that is an evergreen content video, and Winter is always reminding me of it. It's come up again in the 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide, and that is whose vision determines what you see. You assume that you are looking at something with your own eyes, judging it with your own perception, when in fact, settler colonialism, capitalism, racism, patriarchy, misogyny, these things have required you to internalize their gaze as a belief system. So when you even look at your own body and face in the mirror, you don't see your face. You don't see your body. You don't see yourself. You see your eyes and your face, your body, through the gaze of patriarchy. You judge your skin tone. You judge the texture of your skin. You judge the rumble in your belly when you're hungry from somebody else's gaze. The way you tell time and measure your time, is either a conscious or unconscious rebellion against capitalism or conforming to it. There's a third way. You can throw the clock away altogether. We have a choice in 2021. It's capitalism or survival. And survival absolutely requires us to know that there is a season and a time for everything. And if you're looking at the clock, if you're looking at the television, if you're Listen to your body. Your body tells you what time it is. When you hear those birds, or you notice that we've got a little bit more sunlight, you've got a little bit more pep in your step, you feel like you're coming out of that hibernation, you feel the change in the temperature, the moisture increasing in the air, you know what time it is. You don't need a calendar for that. This relationship between time and the body is linked. You cannot undo them. The temporal nature of materiality means that we are admonished to listen to our bodies, but in capitalism, we've got one voice in this ear and another voice in this ear, and our bodies speaking a language that is foreign to many of us. We could not translate it into understanding if we wanted to, because our conception of time in our own bodies has been conformed to a system that only sees us as labor. This is an anti-capitalism page. If you haven't heard Today, Forever, and Always, I think that's good enough. I could go on and on and on and on and on. You know I would. You know I could. Y'all can't see this on Clubhouse, but I am pulling up the final proof of the 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide. Y'all, this baby is so pretty. I had to wait for him to get the right paper. And Carlos got the right paper, and it's looking great. It's looking great. Let's just go real quick to the fill in the blanks in the back. And February, new moon in Capricorn, planting a new reality for. Now, even if you don't know your birth chart, you could fill in that right now and say, planting a new reality for how I keep time. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to pull some cards. The 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide, the digital PDF version, is available on my website. For those of you who do not know what that is, this is the 4th edition of my annual Sidereal Astrology Calendar workbook journal. I walk you through interpreting the astrology of 2021 for a personal and unique application to your birth chart. Guess what? There is absolutely no prerequisite astrological knowledge required. The only thing that's required of you to use this guide is to throw away everything you think you know about astrology and let this be a mindless task. Literally, all you have to do is use the tables to fill in the block boxes and the blanks. And then there are some questions that will require you to remember things, and that's okay. But this is great. I use it. My son's been trying to get into it. I think this will finally be the year that he uses it, because he's really starting to grasp a lot of this stuff. But the guide has 3 distinct parts. 4. There's a lot of tables of information of what the planet signs and houses mean. What does it mean for the sun to transit a particular house, so on and so forth. Along with that section is a section where you fill out where the planets are in your birth chart, where the signs fall in your birth chart, and you're going to use that information as reference for answering the questions and filling in the blanks. Each monthly summary, let me just show y'all that real quick. Each monthly summary has a literal calendar, okay? And then their monthly layout. Each monthly layout has an actual calendar. Each of these glyphs signify an astrological event that's happening on that day. The monthly summary summarizes all of this in plain language for you. And then facing each page is a workbook page with boxes that have questions that you are to fill out. And by filling out these questions, you are personally applying the astrology to your chart. I worked really hard to make make the monthly summaries and the questions more accessible, less technical language, more getting right to the point. And then the last piece of this guide is the fill in the blanks. So for most of the glyphs that you see in the calendar portion here, there is a fill in the blank that you fill in these blanks with the appropriate house topics that match your birth chart. There's a page in here called How to Begin. Read it before you ask me any questions. Okay? Once people start, I'm not gonna wait. Give me a minute. I really want to do a recap of January since it's February and we're just now getting it. So hopefully sometime over the next few weeks, we'll be able to do that. So people who are new to this will get a kind of walking through of how to use the guide, and we can kind of reflect together on January. I'm probably going to do that here on Instagram just to make it easily accessible for everybody. But you have to have the guide to do that. You can download the PDF from thepeoplesoracle.com, click shop, and it's right there. If you have pre-ordered your guide, my printer says that they should be done by Tuesday. And so the labor of packing, shipping, going to the post office. Yeah. If you pre-ordered, you know today is the last day for you to preserve your copy. All of the other copies left, I'm going to make available to the public, and there are quite a few. So if you want a printed and bound copy of the 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide, there is still a chance to get one. I will let you know how many they are once I can make them available. I'm going to make them available once I get the actual printed ones in my hand, just to be sure. All right. Fool is on the bottom here, everybody. Oh man, the Fool is the card. I love that. I love that so much. There definitely is a spirit of abandoning the known, abandoning the familiar, embarking upon the path in front of you without dragging none of that shit from the past with you. Leaving the baggage at the baggage claim, right? Definitely a spirit of adventure, and meeting what air may come your way as you move forward. We've got the Three of Cups. Come on with the relationship. Come on, reinforcing what I've just been talking about. We've got the Six of Wands. This is looking really great. I like it so far. And we've got the Moon. All right, people. Three of Cups. This is about love, bonding, connectedness, familiarity, closeness, intimacy. It's about relationship. Something that has been so much in the background and not actually directly spoken about and addressed is the impact of the pandemic on relationship. I don't mean whether people are divorcing or getting married. I don't mean whether you can go on a date with your mask on or whether you're getting laid without your mask. I don't mean that. I mean relationship as the fundamental technology of human survival. The essential tool that preserves humanity is relationship. Hey, Pooh Bear.
What you doing?
A live video.
You still live?
Yeah, I'm still live.
Q&A?
I'm not doing a Q&A.
What are you doing?
I'm reading cards for the new moon.
After that, can you do one?
You want to do a Q&A? Okay. I'll call you. Yo, my kid is taking over my social media help. He's so cute. Yes, but human relationship and connectedness as the fundamental core technology of human survival. What does that mean? Oh, you guys know. I don't even have to tell you because you guys are Y'all got good memories. Survival is meant to be a shared burden and not an individual obligation. I'm going to say that again. Survival. That means whether you live or you die. That means the quality of your life. Whether you have enough or too little. That is meant to be a shared burden, not an individual obligation. Human survival is not meant to be dependent upon whether a singular individual wears their mask or not. This is not a matter of will. This is not a matter of force. Without relationship, without connectedness, without bonding, without intimacy, what motivation does an individual have? If my survival is my problem, then I do whatever I want for myself. Do I wear a mask? I don't wear a mask. You can't tell me what to do. But if survival is a shared burden, then whether or not I wear my mask is not actually about me individually. Connectedness. At the same time as we have been disconnected from each other in the ways that we're used to, no concerts, no track karaoke, no group trips, although some of us are taking group trips and they're coming back with COVID, but also that's not my business. No family gatherings. No Coachella. Yet somehow we've maintained connection. Why? If those are so important for us to live and function, how have we managed to maintain connection with each other? It's because beyond political doctrine, beyond patriarchal power dynamics, beyond racism, we all know fundamentally that human relationship is the most important thing we need to survive. And without it, we perish. A baby who does not get touched, that baby might be fed, clothed, warm, safe, but if it does not get spoken to, made eye contact with, touch, its brain will shrivel up and that child will die early. We've got the Six of Wands here. And there's definitely some tension here in terms of relatedness and connectedness and bonding and intimacy versus individual ambition and what I want to do and what I'm capable of. I'm very curious about the ways we reckon with the selfishness that has been bred by the cult of individualism and the way that this selfishness has become an efficient vehicle for the spread of COVID. We have all been indoctrinated into the cult of individualism. We have all been convinced that if I try hard, work hard, do more, grind now, sleep later, get more hours on the clock, that's the key. We'll win. We'll be first. We'll make it. I too will be a billionaire. I too, it will be my turn soon to be a millionaire. It will be my turn soon. Me, because I worked hard. As I stated in 2021, The Will to Live, as well as in the introduction to the 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide, the myth of free will is the primary tool of the most successful settler colony in history. Gone are of raping and pillaging and sacking in order to steal the land and take ownership of it and name it after your favorite white person. Name the streets after your favorite white people. Long gone are those days. They don't have to do that anymore. We spread democracy by indoctrinating the rest of the world with the myth of individualism. You too can have the American dream wherever you are. All you must do is think only of yourself and your ambitions and work hard. Work hard. And if you don't win, it's because you didn't work hard enough. So work harder. You don't have enough time to exchange for currency to ever become a millionaire. Because your time ain't worth the same as everybody else's time. It's not. My 2 hours and Beyonce's 2 hours, nope. Not the same. It's not the same. If we are to be free, we must reject the cult of individualism, which means you must give up your sweet, sacred obsession with free will. You have got to let it go. Your will is not free. Your will is colonized. I'm going to say it again. Your will is not free. Your will is colonized. You can't even imagine. In the only place where there are no police, where there are no oppressors in quotation, yet and still your imagination is prohibited from imagining, envisioning a life free from police. Someone says abolish the police and what I said in the 2021 guide, and it's on my blog, it's in the intro to my talk for 2021, is that imagination is the beginning of freedom. Revolution begins in the body, but freedom begins in the imagination. And we know that our will is not truly free because even our imagination is colonized. Even your capacity to dream of freedom, that vision is determined by someone else's gaze. Even in our wildest dreams, we uphold patriarchy. Even in our grandest mental vision board, we uphold capitalism. And you tell me your will is free? That you have a choice? What? So you're choosing to sell your labor for currency. You're choosing to go back to work at 6 weeks and leave your infant in the arms of a stranger. You're choosing to work for $7 an hour. Your will is free. Go make more money. Miss Free Will, your will is free. Go. Ain't nobody holding you back. Do it. Oh, you're choosing to get stomped in the face by the police, Mr. Free Will. Huh. You should have just made a different choice then. That's your fault. You're choosing to be locked in a choose different then. Your will is free. Do it. Oh, you're not. You don't have enough willpower. That's the problem. You're just weak. You're just weak. You're poor because you're weak. You don't have access to healthcare because your will is weak. I cringe and my insides grow nauseous every time I see somebody raise that little usher finger and go, free will. Ain't no free will. And if your will is truly free and this is what you chose with it, I know what it is. My ancestors, they just really did not think thoughts of liberation and freedom, and that's why they were kidnapped from Africa. Their will was just too weak. They should have been more focused. They should have grinded harder. They should have not slept and just grinded harder. The last card here is the moon. And this is a card of darkness. This is a card of uncertainty, a card of not knowing. And it's not lost on me, this order of these cards. This Six of Wands in the middle with his back to the Three of Cups marching into the moon. Where does your free will take you, so-called free will? Where does the unquestioned, uninterrogated belief in the cult of individualism take you? What are you leaving behind in order to embrace a myth that your success or failure, your life or death is solely in your hands? Where does that take you? Where does that get you? That's it, my sermon for today. That's all I got. Woo! Woo! If we was in church, the organist would be like, and then he turned that Leslie on, and he turned it off, and he'd be like, woo! Y'all, 2021 is officially just begun, and I hope you guys are ready. The sun and moon are both in Aquarius right now, and they're giving us a prelude of Jupiter in Aquarius. And if you have not fast forwarded to that part of the guide, I think it's in April. Is that April where I talk about it? Yeah. What makes a person a person? Very excited about this question because this is a fundamental question that informs every piece of policy anywhere in the world. What are the benefits of personhood? What does it mean to be invisible and not be granted personhood? Whew! Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm definitely going to cut off the YouTube stream. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe. Share it with a friend. I'll be posting some clips of this video on my Instagram and on my Twitter. Got a lot of hot takes. I can't wait to review this and share some tidbits of what came up. If you would like a copy of the 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide, you can head right over to thepeoplesoracle.com, click shop, and you can download right now today your 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide. I will be making the remainder of the printed and bound versions of the guide available sometime next week. So make sure you're on my email list. Make sure you are following me on Instagram and Twitter, and I will let you go from there. Peace out, YouTube.